those of you who don't know me, I'm Anita Powell from Small World Marketing, and we've been working with Sausage Tree Camp and Potato Bush Camp for about 3.5 years now. It's in the Lower Zambezi National Park in Zambia, which I know I shouldn't be biased, but it probably is my favorite part of Africa. It is just absolutely heavenly down here. I think the combination of the wide expanse of water in front of you, the beautiful backdrop of the mountains behind you, and just the absolute incredible density of game make this a really stunning spot to experience a safari. It's in, as I say, it's in the Lower Zambezi in Zambia. Zambia is often, I suppose, is often considered to be a second or third time safari destination, and mainly because destination, I don't think, has as strong a brand as destinations like Botswana or Kenya or Tanzania or South Africa. But that doesn't mean to say that the safari experience here is any less. It is just the most stunning country, and I think what makes it really unique is there aren't many properties, so it is much more of a private safari experience. And this spot in the Lower Zambezi is just, for me, just phenomenal. It's only a 20-minute flight down to the Lower Zambezi from Lusaka, so it's really, really accessible. And you can also then connect really easily onto Livingstone to go to Victoria Falls, or up to Mfuri to go to South Luangwa, or even Kafuri as well. And Jason Mott, who owns Sausage Tree Camp and Potato Bush Camp, actually has essentially got a plane that is starting flying on the 1st of April when our season starts. And what he's done now is he's created, because he understands that actually Lower Zambezi is part of a wider itinerary, and also it's also a very, it's the kind of place you can stay for longer here, because there's so much to see and do in terms of the game experience. So he actually now has changed his rate slightly, so it's done more on a package rate rather than an individual night rate, which I'll show you on the next slide. But essentially, within these packages, your flight is included for free, your return flight. So that can be from Livingstone or to South Luangwa, to Kafuri or Lusaka. So he's really trying to connect Lower Zambezi with the rest of Zambia. One of the biggest challenges for Zambia is actually the internal flight costs, which are very expensive. So this way, actually, it absorbs that flight cost and makes it much easier to sell as part of a package. So the Lower Zambezi National Park is just over 4,000 square kilometers. So it's actually quite a small park, but it's got this kind of natural corridor, because it's got the mountains behind on one side and it has a river on the other side. So the animals, the game, can only got a certain amount of area to kind of traverse within. So it means that the game is in quite a kind of, it's in quite dense game in that area. And so you have just this incredible variety of game, and also number of game as well. So this is the location of Sausage Tree Camp and Potato Bush Camp within the park itself. The nearest airstrip is Jeki Airstrip, and that's about a half. What we normally do is, if we have guests land on Jeki Airstrip, we do a very short drive down to the river, and then we take them by river. So they actually arrive at the camp up from water, which is just, I think, the most heavenly way to arrive at any camp. The two camps are actually located next to each other, but when you're staying in them, you have no idea there's a camp next door until you go onto the river, because it's quite dense bush. So it means, from a logistical point of view, it runs very efficiently as the back of house. But actually, as far as the guest experience goes, it's very, very different. But this map is quite good, because it shows you other properties in the camp, in the national park, and where they are. Opposite Mana Pools. So the beautiful thing is about this area is you're looking out over the river, and you have just amazing kind of Mana Pools opposite you as well. This is just one of my favorite sites. When you fly down from Lusaka and you drop down into the valley, it's only a 20-minute flight. You drop down into the valley and you have this beautiful river just stretching out in front of you. It's just so stunning. And this is the location of Sausage Tree Camp and Potato Bush Camp. So these green roofs you see here are Potato Bush Camp, and Sausage Tree Camp is just, I'm sure you can see my cursor, but just around the next kind of almost, you see a little island further, right in the middle of the image. Sausage Tree Camp is hidden in there. So as you can see, very, very well hidden. So as I mentioned earlier, it's owned by Jason Mott, who came to this area about 25 years ago and helped build the camp, and just fell in love with the Lower Zambezi. So he now owns it, he and his family own it, and he's very, very hands-on. Many of you would have met him at various trade shows over the years. I just literally spoke to him now. He's really hands-on and very, very easy to kind of contact. So it's actually the only owner-run property in the Lower Zambezi. So he lives in Lusaka, he's down there, he's just come back from the camp himself, so he's very, very hands-on. So these are their new rates for 2023. He actually sent out the email this morning, so many of you may have received it already. So as you can see, he's packaged it up with a minimum 3-night stay. And so it's much easier to actually now kind of work out what the overall cost would be for a longer stay. 7 nights on a safari property might seem a bit excessive, but trust me, in the Lower Zambezi, it's not. I could quite happily spend a week there. There's just such a variety of things you can do. And also one thing we really try and encourage our guests to do is actually have an afternoon session where they don't do anything. It's called do nothing at all, DNA, and they just literally sit on their little terrace area overlooking the river, because the game is just all around you. So you can do an amazing game drive from your room, just literally sitting there with your binoculars, not even with your binoculars because they're right in front of you. So that's quite a fun experience. And so if you were staying longer, it's just the most heavenly place to stay and actually just truly unwind and relax, but also have this real variety of game experiences. So as I mentioned, to get there, you fly into Jackie Airstrip. It's in a very short car transfer down to the river, and you're then put on this boat and you arrive from the river, which is just absolutely heavenly. Obviously in the Lower Zambezi, the main focus is game drives. It is just the most phenomenal area for game viewing. Lots and lots of ellies. We saw wild dog when we were down there last, a lot of leopard as well, and just this beautiful, beautiful scenery all around you. And so it's just heavenly, and having the river there as well, it just always adds a kind of backdrop of calm. We also do walking safaris as well, which is a must for any guests wanting to get out and have a very different dimension of a safari experience. And then also, this was myself and the team doing our walking safari when we were last down there, and we stood by this termite mound learning about termites for a good 40 minutes. It's just so fascinating. And then boat safaris, so you can actually go out on the boat, you can see a very different dimension. You can go take a fishing rod, take your cooler box of drinks and sit there having a gin and tonic with a fishing rod in the river and just looking at this beautiful scenery all around you. We also do canoe safaris as well. That's got to be for children who are 14 and over, because you do have to be very aware of the fact you've got to really, really listen to your instructor. What we normally do is take there's a smaller channel off the main river called the Chifungulu channel, and that's where we take the canoes. And it's quite nice because when you first start, I have to say I was quite nervous about doing the canoe safari, but when you first start, you can actually see the bottom of the riverbed. So you're very reassured that nothing is underneath you. And then as it gets deeper, you're more relaxed. So it's quite nice because you feel like you're not kind of in the middle of a great big mighty river, not knowing what's underneath you. But these guys do this channel every day. They know exactly where the resident pod of hippo are. They can read it so well. So it is a very safe experience to do, and a really incredible one because you're totally silent, but you get so close to the game, which is just phenomenal. Also fishing, you can do fishing down there, and it's my kind of fishing. It's kind of fishing where you take your fishing rod, you take your cooler box of drinks, and it doesn't really matter if you catch anything or not because you're having a lovely time and looking at the scenery and looking at the animals as well. It's birding in this area, particularly in the green season, is just phenomenal. These are our carmine bee eaters, just such an incredible array of birds in this area. And then looking at the camp itself, so this is the main dining area. The camp was actually rebuilt about 6 years ago now, and it's on one of the most beautiful spots on the Zambezi River. It's on a slight bend of the river, and you have this amazing grassy island in front of you, which is where there's always game. So this main dining area, actually at breakfast time, you'll see one of the later images, they put the benches or the seats along this kind of edge, little edge bit here on the edge of the balcony, and you literally sit there having your breakfast overlooking the river, which is quite heavenly. So this is the main dining area, really open and beautifully designed though. They have just got we have a new general manager arriving starting on the 1st of April, and he is an executive chef. So we're really excited because we are really excited about the quality of the food really being increased with him overseeing it, which is a major new addition, which is brilliant. This is our 25-meter long lap pool. So if you have clients who want to actually do some fitness while on safari and not just sit and eat like most people do, they can go in the pool. And then we also do these kind of USBs, these kind of special experiences like the water lunch. And it's quite incredible having your lunch with your feet in the waters of the Zambezi. The bush dinners are also as a surprise, set up for a surprise for the guests when they suddenly are coming back from their night drive, and then suddenly they arrive in this beautiful candlelit area, which is all stunningly set up for them. So a small pack, both camps are very small. Sausage Tree has 8 rooms in total. So they have 7 suites, and then KIGELA House, which is it's 9 rooms in total. KIGELA House, which is a 2-bedroom house. And they're all designed like this. So they were, as I say, they were rebuilt 6 years ago, really beautifully designed. Jason himself actually designed and helped build them. So it's tented size, so you still have a feeling of being in a tent, but you have this lovely kind of solid floor, and you feel very kind of secure. So they're quite calmly designed, very minimalist, beautiful decked area with a plunge pool. And all of them have their own plunge pools, big bathroom as well, and located right on the riverbank. So you have this lovely view over the river to the island, where there's always buffalo, hippos, elephants. And then this is KIGELA House, which is their 2-bedroom house, which they have. I say house, it's basically built exactly like the other rooms are, tented size. They have 1 double and 1 twin, so it's great for families. And then these are the rates for Sausage Tree Camp itself, but I'll send you a follow-up email with all these rates in it, and also all the image libraries and all the fact sheets as well. So Potato Bush Camp was created because Jason wanted to create something that's a little bit smaller and more intimate and more kind of bush style tented camp. So this only has 5 rooms, and this is really where we would recommend families to go in particular. It's slightly more family friendly because, as you'll see, the walkways between the rooms are raised wooden platforms, wooden walkways. So it means you don't get as much game coming around there because they can't always navigate over the wooden walkways. But it's also really beautifully designed and very small and intimate. So there's 3 safari tents, and then there's the family tent. So again, a 2-bedroom family tent. So very small. I have to say, the rooms are so much nicer than these images look. They're really, really stunning, really big and spacious. Beautifully designed, but they're quite a big, price saving. So if you have clients whose budget don't stretch the Sausage Tree Camp, Potato Bush is definitely not second best. It's a really great option. It's just more intimate, probably more slightly rustic safari camp, bush camp, and it's really favoured by the guys who live in Lusaka. Always like coming down to Potato Bush as well because they love the kind of intimacy of it. So this is the family house, and then sundowners around the campfire. So you can see here, this is the rates, the package rates. So for 3 nights, and these are all including flights as well. So very affordable. Then in terms of the wider experience, we've also spoken about doing game drives and canoeing and walking. But actually one thing that really struck me was when I was down there in the Lower Zambezi was actually particularly Conservation of Lower Zambezi is an incredible NGO that's literally down the river upriver from the camp. And I'd really recommend your clients go and spend some time with them, learn about what they're doing. They're just a phenomenal organisation, and it's really interesting to go and see. In terms of their anti-poaching and their school initiatives, it's just mind-blowing what they achieve from their base down in the Lower Zambezi. And then they also have Sausage Tree Camp are also involved in wider conservation initiatives, like this is the Elephant Charge rally race, which raised nearly $1 million for charity since 2008. So it's a great cause and initiative as well. So really, why, as a summary, why Sausage Tree and Potato Bush Camp? I think for me, the location, the stunning backdrop and the stunning environment, but also having this amazing combination of land and water-based wildlife experiences is really quite unique. You have the rooms are ultimate in bush luxury. Someone who'd never been on safari before and loved their kind of luxury would feel very comfortable in Sausage Tree Camp. One thing I think is really worth pointing out is that it is in the middle of a national park. It is very game rich, so you often have elephants or game coming through the rooms. So if you've got a client you feel will not listen to instructions or not be kind of be aware of that, or be sensitive to that, then it's probably not the right place for them. You are right in the middle of the game, and it is phenomenal, but you will often kind of have an elephant relatively nearby. So you've got to be aware of that when you are selling it as a camp. Its location is right inside the park. It's so accessible to Lusaka. Now they've got their own plane. They offer flexibility and reliability in terms of the transfers. And I've got a schedule which I can send through to you of what the schedule will be for the plane when it starts on the 1st of April, and how it connects really well into those 4 other destinations that it's flying to. Sausage Tree Camp is now 25 years old. So Jason is very hands-on. And also another major point to say is that your guests will get their own vehicle, which is major, because they have this combination of vehicles and boats. They can actually be very flexible with their guests, whereby they can actually ensure, particularly if they're staying in Sausage Tree, they'll get their own vehicle, which is a major add-on. And then also if you're staying in Sausage Tree Camp, you get the complimentary masseuse as well, which is amazing, and your first fishing permit included. And this is a photo of me when I was last down there working hard, but that is what it's like from your room. So I could quite happily, you can see why I could quite happily spend a week there and just chill out, and also attempt to do some work as well whilst down there. So that's the end of the presentation. Let me know if you have any questions. I haven't had any questions that come into the Q&A or the chat box. Hopefully I've answered all your questions. Nothing coming in at the moment, which is great. The webinar is being recorded, and I'll send through a follow-up email to you all, and I will send you, which contains all the rates, fact sheets and image libraries. Agent discount, obviously it depends if we do offer STO rates. I think it's all done through Kim, who does our reservations. So I will include her details on the follow-up email as well, so you can contact her directly for your net rate. Oh yes, great, very good question, Joanne. Has there been any talk about dropping entry PCR tests? And actually, I'm very glad you asked that, because Jason just told me that the president is giving a speech tomorrow, and they are expecting him to announce the dropping of the PCR tests from that speech, which is brilliant, because obviously, as you know, South Africa dropped theirs yesterday, which is a major milestone. So they are very confident that Zambia will follow next, and the president is speaking about that tomorrow. The other thing Jason told me to tell you was it's now 100% solar as well. What else do you say? About the new GM being executive chef, and about the PCR test as well. Didi, I love Sausage Tree and Lower Zambezi as well, but it's yeah, exactly. It's a very, very special place. You shouldn't be biased, but you kind of are when you go somewhere like that. It's just heavenly, and it should. I always feel that Zambia and Lower Zambezi should have much more of a higher profile than it does, but then maybe that's the joy of it. It's a secret. So if you know about it, it's definitely worth sending your clients there, because it's very heavenly.